All right, Unit 2, Lesson 2, Part 2. Problem solving, and we're going to do some more with patterns. How do we use patterns to help us determine what comes next in a sequence? Last lesson, we looked for patterns. We looked for strategies that would help us with those. We also learned we could draw a picture to help us solve problems. Today, we're going to concentrate on looking for patterns. Here's one example. There is a pattern. We have card 1 with some hearts and a triangle. Card 2 also has hearts and triangles, but they have more of them. Card 3 also has triangles and hearts, but there is even more. So we need to figure out what's going to be on card 4. Well, let's make a table to help us organize all this data, and maybe we'll see a pattern. Card 1. Card 1 has 1 triangle and 2 hearts. Card 2. Card 2 has 2 triangles and 3 hearts. Card 3. Card 3 has 3 triangles and 4 hearts. Using this information, we can start to see a pattern emerging. It looks like the card number tells us how many triangles to put on our card. So card 4 will have 4 triangles using this pattern. Now hearts. Hearts look like it's 1 more than the card number. So 1 plus 1 equals 2. 2 plus 1 equals 3. 3 plus 1 equals 4. So we know for card 4, we're going to have 5 hearts. So now we can draw those in. 4 triangles and 5 hearts. Tables are very useful for helping us find patterns. So here's an example of what card 4 could look like using the pattern we found. Now we can write general statements about the patterns that we found in our table. For instance, each card has X number of triangles, and X plus 1 equals the hearts. Notice that when we talked about the table here, this was always 1 more than the triangle. So we could think about it 1 more written as X plus 1. Here's another example. Again, we have 4 cards. Again, we have a growing pattern. This one is slightly different, however. Card 1 has 1 circle and 2 squares. Card 2 has 2 circles and 4 squares. Card 3 has 3 circles and 6 squares. So we need to figure out what's going to be on card 4. Well, again, the number of the card gives us the number of circles. So we know that card 4 will have 4 circles. But now let's look and see how this is changing. When we have 1 circle, we have 2 squares. When we have 2 circles, we have 4 squares. When we have 3 circles, we have 6 squares. I notice a pattern here. I notice that if I take the number of circles and multiply it by 2, I come up with the number of squares. So 4 times 2 is 8. So now on my card, I could draw in 4 circles and 8 squares. Again, we can make a general statement about this. We can say that each card has M number of circles, and it's the same as the number of the card. to figure out squares, we can say, well, I took my number of circles, m, and I multiplied it by 2. So we would say that each card has m circles and m times 2 squares. Twice as many. One way that we could talk about the changes between circles and squares would say that there are twice as many squares as circles. Twice as many can be written as 2 times a number. In this case, we used m as a variable. Here is the way that they put in the circles and squares. All right, your turn to try. Problem-solving activity more with patterns. In this, you will find a pattern by entering information into the table. So for instance, card number 1 is right here. We can see that card number 1 has 2 triangles and 2 stars. Enter the data for card 2, card 3, and card 4. Use that data to help you figure out what card 5 will be. Write down the patterns that you see. Next, write a general equation for each shape using variables. So, how do you figure out the triangles? How do you figure out the stars? Make sure you use a variable for these statements. They will look similar to this type of statement. Complete it and hand it in.